Hi, my name is John Scarley. This is number 4 in a series about living with a psychopath. Although I only found out in 2010 after 30 walking out on a 30-year marriage, 5 times altogether. Now that I understand psychopaths, they don't learn from the lessons, and they lead a parasitic lifestyle, and they live off the labours of others, and they think they're entitled. That's only 3 of the things. I'll go through everything later. And that's what the whole clan was. The devil, meaning the monster-in-law from hell, the 2 siblings of the ex, what I call the evil, and even the brother-in-law, to go on one comment he made after returning on the 4th occasion. He made a comment at a New Year's Day, 1st of the 1st of 2005. I'll going to do a picture, a drawing of where he was located in relation to a tent, marquee type thing in the house and everything else when I did the audio. But unfortunately, I turned it on too late. I wasn't expecting them, but they were talking about a person who lost his wife, passed away. He was in his mid to late 70s. They never had kids. And apart from the house they lived in, because they both worked, they owned another 4 or 5 houses. And his comments were, after he found out, "Oh, have you got his address? Do you know his address? I'll go around and pretend to be a friend and see if he leaves me a house or 2 or 3 when he dies." I knew the attitude for the whole 5 of these bloody psychopaths before he said it. I also knew the ex-mother-in-law, the monster from hell, who I refer to as the devil. The reason we never went around once for dinner and only 3 times for lunch, and the only reason we went 3 times for lunch over 30 years was because she stole the entire pension from her second husband, the one that she knocked on his door after we got engaged, and pretended she was scared of the clouds because she couldn't tell him the truth, because he would have said, "Get stuffed." If she told him the truth, "I want to steal your pension, but you've got to marry me." And her husband was still warm in the grave. He was rolling over when he found out. He does not want to be buried, according to even the extended family. 2 of them have said he died to get away from the devil, and he does not want to be buried, the devil, when she dies, to be buried next to him. They will, and they'll give a lot of crap. But anyway, I'm putting on a song, a few words of a song that was my favourite theme song through 2004 during that forced separation when I walked out. And then I'll go into one audio from part of the audio of the psychology meeting in August, the day, it was actually, the day after I got out of hospital, which I mentioned in episode number 3. And this one shows you very clearly, that they did nothing. I'll even put the date of a receipt when she turns around and says, at Relationships Australia, "Oh no, we do nothing. John's the doer." And that's absolutely 1,000,000 bloody % right in there. There was another huge shock that the lady at Relationships Australia got, like I did, although I knew it. But for her to admit it, geez, I wish I'd take that bloody episode, the event. But anyway, you've seen by number 1, if you haven't, go and see it, number 1 and 2. I describe some of the many jobs that I've had, full-time and part-time. I was very active, and I did a lot of bloody work. I wasn't sitting at home watching Days of Our Lives, becoming delusional, thinking I was one of them. But here's part of the Song of the Mavericks, and then we'll go into the recording at the psychologist. This is one where I say they do nothing, and I've only the last few months got onto Google Images and found all these things from Michael Jordan, J.K. Rowling, the great, and
a lot of others, and I'm putting them on in terms of pictures, but they're fantastic. And I say here that they've done nothing. Well, that's not quite true, I guess. The truth is that, yeah, they broke a lot of wind. They did eat. They did sleep 13 hours a day, give or take. Some days 12, some days 14. I'll tell you the one time I was wrong. After she actually did, for the first time, I reckon, in her life, she worked 6 hours with about 4 or 5 breaks in between. I'll tell you now, and what happened is that they were making curtains for the house, using the excuse of goes on tax deductibility for the flats. And it was a total of 6 hours and with a few breaks. And I thought to myself, wow, she's actually doing some work. Well, I guess I won't see her for 2 weeks because she'll catch up on sleep. The tiredness will put her out for 2 weeks. Okay, I admit I was wrong. I thought 2 weeks, but it was only 72 hours, 3 days straight, apart from getting up, breaking wind and feeding her face and having a drink, and then straight back to sleep again. So, she had a few waking moments in between, but otherwise it was 72 hours solid. I've got to put on what the UniSA guy says about people that think. Now, yeah, I'll get onto the recording. Again, you should be able to hear it even though it's noisy and scratchy, but here we go. Just let me interrupt there. Yeah, now I understand it, and I was wrong there. Now I understand they are psychopaths and they lead a parasitic lifestyle. That's why they did nothing. So anyway, we'll go back to the recording.
She went the next day and did not arrange and told the lady don't arrange another meeting.
Yeah, the reason she told me she didn't arrange another meeting is because she doesn't want to get a divorce, and I guess that goes back to the night after she demanded I go to Joe and I'd tell him to apologise to her mother, and then I'll go through that conversation in the next episode, and then tells me it's her mother's fault. But later on that night, when the kids are asleep, because I never got the kids involved, she did, and I'll put Dr. Phil's take on that in the next episode as well, if not the end of this one. And she said when I told her today I've told you a few times, especially after 1987 training session, that I would walk out today. I'm telling you that I am definitely going to walk out if things don't change with your mother and she doesn't come here every day spewing toxic poison and you're being influenced by her and everything else. And she turns around and says, "No, you're not. You're a Catholic. You're not going to walk out." And I sort of realised over the next few weeks, because of that haunting voice, the way she said it, I thought, does that mean in her own tiny little frickin' usable brain that she and her mother can continue doing things, all the crap, and knowing that I'm not going to walk out? And that's exactly what their mental attitude was. And in her mind, I'm never going to get a divorce. I'm never going to walk out because her father died as the only way he knew to get out, and Joe ended up dying a few years later as the only way he knew to get away from the devil. And your mother thought, this evil bitch thought I was going to do the same, die in the marriage, no matter what crap they put on. Wrong. Yeah, I've just stayed again at the psychology meeting the day after I got out of hospital. Two things. One, I didn't get much sleep, so yeah, I'm a bit hazy. And the other thing, you try to cram so much that you skip, like I did the first couple of videos into a short space. On this one, she was trying to say that when I left or when we parted in 2004, she didn't say that I walked out 3 times before. She was trying to make it sound like that was the first time. Yeah, manipulation, twisting thing. And every time I left, the number one reason that I gave was because of her mother's interference and negative and spewing poison at the thing. And when I said in the last one that that's all she did against the 4 or 5 relatives because they were better off, and it's her petty jealousies that she had to live in a corrugated house and then made her poor husband bloody pay for all this ridiculous false brick and false aluminium tile roof just for her delusion, but inside it was like a cheap thing. I grew up in a worse house. Who gives a damn? But no, it's her delusional sense of entitlement. And that's why she did the lies in terms of trying to get me into hospital. She got me into hospital with the manipulation, the lies. So she can go to the court and say, oh, please give me the house because John's mentally ill. And yet, as I said and wrote in there, I've got her on recording that she's the one that was told, you need the help, you can come back, etc. John, you don't need to come back. And I say, well, if you think I want, you really need me to come back, I'll come back. And they say, no, you're normal, you're okay. Now, in this one, she never said to them that I had left 3 times before. She tried to make it sound like it was the first time. But here we go. And you can hear me sigh. That was a sign of frustration. But anyway. Yeah, and she made promises that it would be sorted out, and it never was. And this recording verifies the fact that before I sold him, I said to her on a couple of occasions, if I walk out today, right now, you keep the house, because I knew, I was offered jobs in Sydney and Queensland and a couple of other places. She wouldn't shift. And I used to say, she won't shift 100 metres. How can I think? So there was no support for me whatsoever. And yet I know of at least 20 women that their husbands are in volunteer clubs and other things, that they moved around for their husbands' careers. But I know why she didn't move on. It was a house by the lake, and if we move from here, we might not get it again. I'm not moving. I'm entitled now that I know it was psychopaths. Her delusion, and of course her mother was over every single damn day, or 6 out of 7, and it was her entitlement to be at the West Lakes rather than initially Swan Terrace. But and even got one cousin, she moved 6 times. But anyway, end up that this audio will prove that I said to her, you keep the house and I keep the flats. At least then you would have the kids can have the flats. And she was the one that wanted to sell. And I'll even tell you, the guy on the Sunday morning rang up and said, I'm down in the area playing tennis. Can I come and see you and sign the contract? And this is even after I negotiated an extra 90,000. And when he come down, the contract was all typed up, and it was for the lower price that your mother, the evil, had sold it for when I was in the shower. And I turned around and said, forget about it. No, take it away. Piss off. And he said, no, you can change it, and we initial it, and change it. I said, okay, all right. But, I said, what the hell are you trying to do? Oh, well, your wife, she said this price when I came here the first time. Oh, God. Anyway, I wrote on there, and then he says, of course, the owners might not agree to it. So while he said that, I continued on, and I said, this contract is invalid in 14 days' time. And so as he left, your mother turns around and sees him to the door, and then she had these noisy, I hate these particular shoes, they flip-flop, clup, and as she's running, she was, for her way of walking, this was running for her, and she was running down saying, give him a ring, tell him you'll take the lower offer, because of what he said that they might not have. I said, you are absolutely, this is not on. He's just trying to con you into the lower price. I will not contact him because I don't even want to sell him at this price. And here we go. Here's the few seconds, which is admission by her that she knew. And she's the one that wanted to keep the house, and I didn't want to sell them. She wanted to sell them. Here we go. Yeah, and the house is mine, and he keeps the flats. That is 1,000,000% proof, but then psychopaths manipulate. And even after that, 2 months after that, 3 months, whatever it was, when she filled in the affidavit, might have been 4 or 5, whatever. After that, she turns around and writes in the affidavit that she knew nothing about me selling the flats. What habitual pathological, she's addicted to lies.